So plant breeding started well over 50 years ago. Probably started in barley and moved into wheat breeding fairly quickly after that. Initially, the way the university moved those plant varieties into the public space was just by handing the seed over to the farmers and they would grow them. Nobody made any direct money out of it. Of course, the farmers did because they got new cereal varieties which were better adapted for what they were doing. Now, in the 90s, the Plant Breeders' Rights Act was enacted in Australia, which meant that we had protection for the plant and we could start earning money through that commercialisation. At the time, the Waite was doing wheat breeding, and at the Roseweather campus there was another wheat breeding program, so we had a very strong wheat breeding focus. We also had barley breeding. And we've always had some fava bean breeding, but the program is not as large as the cereals, mainly because we don't grow as many fava beans as we do wheat and barley. So in the 90s, the Plant Breeders' Rights Act came in, and we were put in a position where we could protect our plant varieties and start making money out of them. And back in, I think it was 1995, 96, we released our first variety which had protection. From memory, that variety was called Stiletto, and it had a seed point royalty. Now, that doesn't mean much to you. However, a seed point royalty means that when you sell a bag of seed to the farmer, you actually get $10, $20 off that bag of seed. And at the time, we were probably making thousands of dollars out of each variety which was released, but that was about where it was at. Now, later on in the 90s, the federal government enacted that we could do endpoint royalties. And what that means is the farmer buys some seed, they sow the seed, and when they harvest, every tonne that they harvest, you can take what's called an endpoint royalty from that. Now, we moved into that very late 90s, 1999, with a variety called Yitpi, a wheat variety called Yitpi. And it's fair to say we've made millions of dollars out of a very low endpoint royalty in these days. We charged $1 per tonne to grow Yitpi. Nowadays, endpoint royalties are close to $3.50, $4. Had Yitpi had an endpoint royalty between $3 and $4, we would have made tens of millions of dollars out of Yitpi itself. Now, another thing you wanted me to talk about is why we're famous. The wheat barley breeding program, more than 50% of all barley varieties grown across Australia emanated from the wheat barley breeding program and have been commercialised by us. We have, out there at the moment, we have between 8 and 12 varieties being grown, and we're collecting endpoint royalties off that. The wheat breeding program, both the Roseweather and wheat breeding programs were privatised in 2001, 2002, and a company was put together called Australian Grain Technologies. We're major shareholders in that, and Australian Grain Technologies has a strong presence on the Waite campus and the Roseweather campus to this day. We also do durum wheat breeding. Not as much durum wheat is grown across Australia, but we get endpoint royalties off of the durum varieties. The other plant breeding we do on the Waite campus is eucalypt breeding, and they're ornamental hybrids, and it's very difficult to work out how to get royalties off of the ornamental hybrids, but it looks like we'll be doing it on a plant basis, per plant basis, right way to put it. And we have a strong almond breeding program. The almond breeding program is interesting because new varieties of fruit trees take a long time to fruit. We have new varieties which yield significantly better than what is already out there, but we are currently doing strong yield trials so that the Almond Growers Association, who semi-regulate this type of thing, are comfortable that if the growers pull out their fruit trees and have to forego a couple of years of yields, that when these ones come about they'll be more profitable for them. Now, that's a situation where we are looking to charge an endpoint royalty on the probably per kilo of almond harvested, but it is something which needs to be discussed with the grower organisation as to what they're comfortable with.